All right, well, good evening, everyone. I hope that you can hear me just fine. We're going to go ahead and get rolling here, and we have an excellent array of presenters today, and we are excited that you're here to join us. My name is Dale Campbell, and I'm just so passionate in sharing these experiences because we see people with improved health, improved energy, improved mental sharpness and alertness. And it's just amazing how we're able to see these benefits when we understand the value of the food that God has provided for us. And it's just very great that you're all here. So my name is Dale Campbell, and I'll introduce our presenters and our team here in just a few moments. Um, I'm going to also let you know that I am personally managing and hang. All right, there. That was the first snafu. So I'm personally managing the technology tonight. So please, so please be sure that you'll know that we're going to be having a couple of snafus along the way. But anyway, here we are. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll get a chance to hear that video.
Do you ever feel the need for more energy, vitality, and a greater sense of well being? Then stay tuned. We are natural health enthusiasts with yet another delicious recipe of best practices and holistic lifestyle health. Our natural health planners, sponsors, presenters, and friends compile and share the simplest, most natural discoveries and practices targeted to restoring and maintaining energy, as well as a sense of well-being that we all want in our daily lives. It has been said that health is a state of complete harmony of the body, mind, and spirit. Therefore, through the practice of the 8 laws of natural health, integrated with evidence-based research, we see a world empowered by Christ's love that is passionately seeking to be its healthiest in body, mind, and soul. And that's why we're so glad you've chosen to be here. Join us each month to help us celebrate the Creator for the resources and knowledge that consistently optimize His gift of natural healing in our bodies. We thank our hosts at the All Nations Fellowship Seventh-day Adventist Church in partnership with Community Outreach Incorporated for providing this one-of-a-kind opportunity that helps us all live healthier tomorrow than we are today, every single day. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your Natural Health Meetup presenting team for this life-enhancing edition.
Yes, and we are just proud to say that these are all life-enhancing editions. And for those of you just joining, my name is Dale Campbell, and we are going to have our opening prayer at this time, and then I'll share a few slides just to tell you just a little bit more about who we are and what we do each month. And so let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Dear God, we're just incredibly thankful that we have you as our creator and our sustainer. And we are thankful for those who are here with us this evening. We are thankful for the presenters that have done their preparation. And Lord, we trust that what happens here tonight will actually be helpful, be resources that can help with lifestyle changes that improve our health outlook and the outcomes. Please bless each person individually, whatever concerns they have, God. We're asking that you will bless them and find for them a place of rest and solace and hope. And this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, so I'm going to share a few slides here that will help you to see some of what we have been doing here at Natural Health Enthusiasts, and then we'll get right into our presentation. So this is who we are. natural health enthusiasts, and the All Nations Fellowship Church is the host for this, and Community Outreach is one of the collaborators in this. It's an outreach ministry, so just wanting to be sure that whatever we share here is not designed to be medical advice. It is really designed for us all to be educated as to what the research is saying. And we have a planning team that is very committed. If any of you have an interest in presenting and sharing ideas, please let us know. We have our planning sessions early Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. every single week, pretty much. And I would just really love to hear your stories of success in just really getting rid of diseases and illnesses and discomforts that you may have had along the way. Please seek medical advice if you have an issue. These programs are purely educational in nature, and we want to be sure that you get the proper medical care or licensed health professional that will take care of the needs that you have. And one of the great initiatives that we have here is a virtual blue zone. And I believe that you're probably all familiar with these parts of the world where people are living well into their hundreds, at least over many years, this has been happening, and living a very healthy life. It's interesting to know that the only one of these places in North America is Loma Linda, California. And we're very proud to say that this is where a lot of the Seventh-day Adventist health practices have been ongoing for many, many years. And we believe that even though these are geographical locations, that we can have a virtual blue zone here. So bring your stories back if you have something that has gotten better. I know in my own experience, this is my 15th year of being diabetes free. And so I just, use that as an example. Lifestyle does matter. The foods we eat do matter. How we prepare them, it matters. And this is what our session is going to be in great part about tonight. So let's join the movement here for a virtual blue zone where we come together from all parts of the world or parts of the country online, and we share our successes. We share the items that have making us more healthy. And so this is our workshop tonight. Is it the food or is it the habit? Which one is more important? And we have two presenters tonight. Serena Scott is our certified master herbalist, and she will be just giving us some insights about the types of foods and the tools that God has provided in these different foods and plants. And then we have Steve Imgrund. And is it LDN? Did I get that right, Steve? Anyway, he is a
Yep.
well, thank you. Very, very passionate about habits and how to develop and craft them in a unique way so that we can have more success with the food choices. So we're going to get the best of both worlds tonight. We're going to get some insights on foods, and we're going to get some insights on habits that we can use to make us be more successful. So this evening, these are the two presenters that we have, and we'll go one right after the other. So Steve, Serena, you're going to be starting us off here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours. And we invite then Serena to turn on her camera and start sharing so that we can learn some of the items that she has for us.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Good evening, everyone. So can you see the screen and I'm sharing? Can you see
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so this evening I want to talk about a little bit about tools for healing. And we know that tools are different kinds of devices used to do a particular kind of work. So we can use tools for construction. We can use tools to do projects, to modify something, to accomplish a task, for repairs, for maintenance, and so on. And we can use tools to put things together, and we can also use tools to take them apart. We can use them to demolish, to pull down, to tear down, and destroy. So tools can accomplish different things. So I will share this evening how we can use tools that have been provided for us and for our healing. And we may not think of plants as tools, but when you study them, they all do various kinds of works inside and outside the body. It's interesting to note that plants offer a vast source of bioactive chemicals to help improve health, prevent disease, repair, build, and maintain. So I must say that plants are some of the greatest tools on our planet. When God created us, when he created Adam and Eve, he placed them in a garden with all different kinds of plants, flowers and beautiful trees and all of these things. They were surrounded with plants. In fact, scientists have discovered that there are between 50,000 and 130,000 phytochemicals in plants, and believe that there are many more. So we are going to learn a little bit about how these plants are effective tools for good health and some ways that we can use them. We know that herbs and the vegetables, the fruits, the bulb, the bark, the flowers, the seeds, all of these are from the different parts of the plants. So we're going to take a look at one of these. And the first one I want to look at is radish, the radish plant. So the radish is a flowering plant in the mustard family, and the parts of the radish are the bulbs that have the seeds and the leaf tubs, and they're all edible. And they are low in calories and they are very high in nutrients. They contain many vitamins and minerals, including vitamin C, calcium, potassium, iron, manganese, and they're also a good source of antioxidants. So all of these substances in radishes is what make radish a very powerful tool in our health. So number one, it prevents or reduces the risk of cancer. And they do it because it impedes the cellular mutation. It alters how cancer cells reproduce. This is because of the high amount of antioxidant and phytochemicals in the radish. And it is a good tool to promote better liver function, to promote better heart function, and digestive function. And the seeds are also edible. And the seeds are also powerful tools in the health arena as well. So they are a good source of fatty acids, vitamins, especially vitamin C, manganese, potassium, and many other minerals. They also have a laxative properties, and they have an expectorant properties about them too. So radishes are very good to have them in your kitchen. I started to add radishes to my smoothies and to my salad. So one way that you can do it is making a radish salad like this beautiful one you're seeing here. You can just cut them up, add a little bit of lemon juice and some of your favorite herbs. You could add parsley, cilantro, rosemary, whatever you like. And you can have this wonderful radish salad. And another way that you can implement this wonderful health tool in your diet is by making a smoothie. I started to add radish to my smoothie. So I will use at least 3 or 4 bulb of radishes, cut them up, wash them well, cut them up, and add them to my smoothies. And it's very delicious. And you can also juice them. I like the color of this juice. So you can also juice it, and you can probably mix it with lemons, or you can juice the radish and lemons, or a little bit of ginger, or maybe an apple. But you can do it in a way that you can enjoy it. So these are some ways that you can use the radish. And then you can also even do a poultice with the radish. So it's very good to help with skin rashes, or like you have an inflammation or insect bite or something like that. Is very good. And it's also good. You can even apply some of the juice of the radish on your face because it has a high content of water. So it hydrates your skin. It also helps with conditions like eczema, psoriasis, or any type of skin condition that you may be experiencing. So as you can see, you can eat these things, you can take them internally, but you can also apply them externally on your skin. So this is for radish, one of a powerful plant tool that God has created for us to use. Okay, so the next one I want to share here is the onions. Onions, okay? Onion is still considered to be one of nature's most healing foods. And it's a wonderful tool to help improve circulation. It prevents blood clots thanks to a compound in it that's called flavonoids. So one of the most active flavonoids in onion is quercetin. And quercetin is a very powerful antioxidant and it has anti-inflammatory effects. And it helps to reduce swelling, it kills cancer cells, it controls blood sugar, and it helps to prevent heart disease. Onions have a compound called sulfur. It has a high content of it, and it helps to draw out mucus and fluids from the body. Onions also has fiber in it. So because of that, it helps to lower cholesterol and it delays the passage of sugar into the bloodstream. So onion is a good anti-diabetic tool. Okay, so here are, if you're looking for a good tool to help you with respiratory disorders, asthmatic disorders, coronary heart disease, kidney and liver disorders, and cancer, I will recommend to eat more onions. Okay, onion contains chemical that also, helps to reduce swelling in the lung and tightness. So that's what helps it to release congestion, coughing, and things of that nature. How can you prepare or eat onions? Well, one way is to apply them to your salads. Add lots of onions, way more than the one that you see here, but you want to add a lot of onions to your salad. Another way that you can consume it is also by making like you can make like an onion syrup, you can make onion water, and you can even make a chest compress with the onions. So that is very good. That these are different ways that you can use the onions. Your salads, the onion syrup, you can even make onion water. You can even chop the onions, put it in a glass of water, and keep it there for several hours, and then you can strain it and drink it. So these are different ways that you can incorporate onion into your diet. If you have congestion or a lot of coughing or even sinus infection, then you can also warm the onions, place them in a cloth, put them over your chest, and that will help to relieve the problem. So onion is another powerful healing tool to have in your kitchen.
Hey, Serena, before you move on, I think one time you told me how to make onion syrup.
Yes.
Can you share that?
Oh yeah, sure. So what you want to do is you want to cut the onions up. And you can use any onions. I like to use the red ones, but you just want to cut 1 or 2 onions, cut them up, and then put them in a pot and pour some raw honey over the onions to where they're covered. And just put them on the stove on very, very, very low heat. Or if you have a crock pot, that could work as well. And just just stay there for hours until when and then it will be ready. Then you just strain that out, and that honey becomes your onion syrup. Very easy to make, and it's very effective.
And I must tell you, when I tried it, this is maybe a couple of years ago, it was really interesting because it reminded me that I had had that very same thing when I was a child, which is probably over 60 years ago. And the taste was exactly the same as I remembered it, but I had no idea how it was made at the time. So thank you for sharing that with us here tonight, and also for allowing me to benefit from that.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I remember too, maybe like a year ago, I did had some coughing and my throat was a little irritated, and I took some of the onion syrup, and literally it just took care of the problem. The next day I was okay. So these are very simple remedies that are very effective because of all the compounds that are in these foods that God created for us.
Yes, thank
So
you.
we can take full advantage of them. Okay, so I want to talk about another one, and this is an herb called red clover. I absolutely love these red clovers. I see them all the time in the summer, spring and summer, and they just grow wild everywhere. But red clover is an effective blood purifier. It helps to clear up the skin condition because of its cleansing effect upon the blood. So it's also good for any type of skin issue or condition because it internally cleanses your blood. And also this herb acts as a diuretic. It helps your body get rid of excess fluid. It's also an expectorant as well. It helps to clear up the lungs and mucus, excess mucus in the body. It also improves circulation and helps to cleanse the liver. Studies have shown that red clover is also a good tool for improving bone density loss because in menopausal women, and it has an estrogen-like properties that exert positive effects on the arterial walls, making them more flexible. So that means that it decreases any strain on the heart and making blood clots more difficult to form. So that's a very wonderful tool to have, red clover. So how can you use red clover? So you can make a tea. You can make an herbal tea from red clover. You can use the fresh herb or the dry herb and make a tea. Another way that you can use it is you can make a decoction or an extract. You can make extract, they sell them, and you can add it to water, juice, or any liquid. And another way that you can use red clover, you can make a decoction, which is a more concentrated form of the tea, and drink that as well. And another way you can use it is in capsule form or the powder form. Sometimes you can take capsules or you can use the powder and mix it up with some liquid. And externally, you can also wash your face with it. If you make the tea, you can wash your face with it. And you can use a red clover ointment to treat skin conditions, eczema, rashes, pimples, any type of skin condition. You can use the tea and the herb for that reason. What I do like about these foods is that you can use them both ways, internally and externally, and they're very effective. So, I mean, these are just three that I mentioned, but there are thousands and thousands of plants and different foods that God has given us that are very good. Now, just like how God created these foods with thousands of compounds and phytochemicals and nutrients in them for our benefit, we know that God's enemy have also created a counterfeit to what he has created. So we know there are foods now that imitate flavors, they imitate colors, texture, smell. You know, they're highly processed food that takes out the good substance. You know, when these foods are highly processed, it takes out all the good substance that are in them. And there are foods that leaches vitamins and minerals out of our bodies. There are foods that create an overly acidic environment internally. There are foods that promote dis-ease, discomfort, and illness. All these foods are out there too. And these are foods that have been placed there by the enemy to destroy us, to break us down. So, you know, what we have to do now is carefully choose what have been given to us by the Creator to build our bodies, to help us to be strong. The food that we put in our body matters, just like the people we surround ourselves with, the way we spend our time, and the content we consume. All these things work together to directly impact the lives we lead and the people we become, for better or for worse. So essentially, what we eat. So if we desire to pursue God's best and the full life he designed for us to experience, then we should intentionally be filling our bodies with the things that nourish our souls. And, you know, I know that God values our spiritual health, and he values the condition of our hearts over the size of our bodies or the number that is displayed on the scale. But it is still important to honor God in our diets as well as in our relationship with food. Food is a blessing from above. God created so much variety of food, delicious and nutritious. So it is a blessing from above. It is a gift of sustenance that fuel us to do the work that was assigned for us to do. But it can also become an idol, a distraction, a source of a source to destroy us, of guilt, of shame, of different things. Food can become so many different things and negative things. But there's one thing that I try to live by and remember, and that's found in 1 Corinthians 10:31. It says, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. So we can glorify God in both our body and spirit while enjoying the goodness of food and the many blessings that abound from it. So it is my desire that we choose wisely. There is always a choice before us, and we can choose to eat the foods to build, to restore, and to strengthen our bodies, or we can choose to eat the food that's going to tear us down and make us sick. So we have a choice. And I hope that we all choose the foods that God created, that we can be stronger, we can be healthier to serve God and our fellow men. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so very much, Serena Scott. You give me so much hope in realizing that foods can heal. Foods have healing properties in them. And I like the fact that you've acknowledged the Creator, God, for putting these foods and making them available for us. And so I just wondering, somebody saying that you could not hear us. Oh, you're not able to see the top headers on our slides. Okay. Allie, thank you. This is being recorded, and so it's we can make the recording available. But Serena, if you don't mind, the three items that you mentioned were, I remember the red clover, you had
Okay, so
onion.
yeah, the three of them, the first one was radish,
Yes.
then onions, and red clover.
Okay. All right. So those were the three items that she mentioned tonight, and we'll have a time for question and answer. So please jot your questions down, or you can put them in chat, and we'll identify them right there. So thank you, Serena. This was really incredible. I do know that we have Steve coming up right now, but I do want to let you know that Dr. Rick Howard is in the house, and he will be summarizing for us and facilitating the mixer time that we have after the presentations are done and after we have Steve with his presentation. So keep in mind that you will definitely have a chance to ask questions and to review the information that you'd like to clarify. So Steve Imgrund is here. And Steve, would you kindly unmute and put your video on, and let's you have the ability, I think, to share the screen. Let me double check on that because I believe you need to have that. So yep. Okay, there you are. You have the ability now to accept that and share your screen.
Just sharing my slides right now. Thank you.
Good. Good.
Okay, and go into, there we go. Should be seeing that. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, so this is my sort of made up title to kind of go into the theme of today. But what we're really going to be talking about is how to think about building habits that grow our health. Because, we can all grit our teeth and really do something that we don't really like for a short while. But when the motivation or circumstances change, our habits, good or bad, that's when they're going to come back. So just a little bit about me before going on. So like Dale said, I am a nutritionist. I have my master's in human nutrition. I'm a certified nutrition specialist, very similar to an RD, but different boards that are certifying. And I am licensed dietetic nutritionist in Illinois. And my specialties are really metabolic health. So that's prediabetes, diabetes, high cholesterol, gut health is also an area that I work with. And I utilize a functional approach. So really going towards the upstream issues that are driving whatever condition, problem, and then, addressing that. Interests, nutrition, medical research. I like to lift weights and I do practice jujitsu. And there's some pictures of my wife and some of my family.
Right.
So going into the talk, really onto the main points. And just like Serena was saying, food is medicine. So this is really echoing her entire presentation and taking it a step further, really looking at how it's not just calories. Food is information that really helps our body function, and it can either enhance health or diminish it. But it is powerful medicine. Now, how do we get there? So when it comes to getting healthier, a lot of the people that I work with have very similar goals. So maybe they just want to lose weight, want to look better. This could be addressing some health markers or improving labs. Maybe they just want to address food intolerances or improve their GI health. But how we get from A to B, so this is sort of like a representation of an average population of America, really. This is going to be different for every person. And when we're talking about specifically how to do this, I could talk to you for the next 15 minutes on different dietary patterns and what the research says. And generally speaking, the Mediterranean diet has the best and strongest research for overall health. But does that really help you make decisions and tell you what to eat tomorrow? Maybe. Or I could go through maybe a sample meal plan. And if you were to use that and follow it, I would imagine that you would lose some weight, your health would improve. But what happens when you get bored with a food? What happens if you just don't like it? If there aren't habits put in place, eventually the plan is going to falter and crumble. So really, what I'm getting at is, why is change so hard? And I really like this comic. It really sums up the essence of how human nature can work so hard to keep us where we are comfortable. And we're talking about changing our diet right now, but this could really be applied to pretty much anything. If you want to change something, you either have to have the knowledge to know how to do it, or you need two things. You need both: the knowledge, the competency to apply that, and the consistency, so the habits that make doing the new thing easy and sustainable. So the goal of consistent habits is to identify what habits you can implement to move you towards whatever outcome you want, and then do it repeatedly and sustainably. And I'm not going to bore you with research, but this one really helps to drive home a point. This study was was looking at data from it was actually 2003 to 2006, published in 2016, as you can see. And this is really looking at the healthy habits of US adults. And essentially, they found that only out of the 5,000 participants, only 3% met all 4 criteria. So only about 2.7, rounding up, all 4 healthy lifestyle characteristics. And what are those 4 characteristics? It's not smoking, eating 5 servings of fruit and vegetables, moving or exercising 5 times a week for 30 minutes, and maintaining a healthy body weight. So really, this is going to call out the fact that we don't need complexity, we need consistency. We just need to focus on the basics. Now, this is sort of another visual representation of the health of our health, really. Every decision that we make is going to influence how you move up to high risk or down the continuum. One highly processed meal or food will not give you diabetes, but a lifetime of them combined with high stress, combined with our toxic environment, I guarantee that you will become metabolically unhealthy. And honestly, that's really what is playing out in our society right now, unfortunately. So that is the reality. So given that fact, how do we put habits into place that either grow our consistency or increase our competency? And this is a concept that I call current wins or roadblocks. So really, you are trying to identify what is an area that you are really either current wins, what are you doing well right now? How can you do more of that? Or roadblocks, what is currently in your way the most? And then, you can identify why hasn't this changed? And this can help identify where you need or would like to start on this journey of changing habits. So as we go through this coming sections, we're going to go through a lot of different areas that a lot of people struggle with or could use a little bit more competency. So I would just want you to keep in mind some ideas that seem realistic to you, maybe you resonate with, and those would be maybe some good places to start. So food selection, this is the first sort of slide. So, what exactly do we eat? And a plate, as we can see, is an easy visual representation, but it really doesn't tell us how to actually eat that way. So when we're looking at our diet and food selection, some strategies that we could implement is food quality. So can we displace processed food? So if you're already eating, let's say, fast food, can you add in some vegetables, maybe an apple, and improve the quality of the diet just by adding in healthy foods that will, hopefully displace some of the higher processed foods. Or you could substitute. So improve the quality of a particular food. So let's say you really like bread, but maybe white bread, not the best option. It's not as nutrient dense. It spikes your blood sugar. So perhaps going to a sprouted grain bread would be a better and more nutritious option. So you're going to improve the quality of a particular item that you're already eating, and therefore not really changing your diet as much, at least initially, but taking baby steps and moving in the right direction. Another strategy would be identifying when you are most likely to, gravitate towards a particular food or just chow down on highly processed snack food. So is it when you're stressed? Are you stressed at work and you go into the break room and there's all those cookies and what have you? And that's when you're really sort of jonesing for that sweet treat? Or is it when you're busy? And can you make it harder for you to access certain things just by meal prepping? So you're sort of taking your busyness out of the equation, meal prepping, and then you're going to have options available. So when you are busy, you have a good nutritious meal. And third, it could be that you are relaxing. This is sort of where I would falter. And, if I'm laying around just relaxing and there's, some snack food around, I might be, that would be the point where I am going to be grabbing a lot of snack food. Oh. Okay. So next slide is just an exercise. This, if this resonates with you again, it could be a good idea to try, but this is going to identify foods that you legitimately like and would like to prioritize in your diet. So this would be an exercise where you create 3 lists of food. You love it, you like it, no thanks. And the goal would be to, just as it says, identify the fruits, vegetables, and I know some people on here are vegetarian. This is a slide from a previous training, but if you do eat meats, then quality, high quality meats will be emphasized. So just a good exercise to get the wheels spinning and see what foods resonate with you. Grocery store tips. So how do we shop? Maybe you've heard shop the perimeter. What does that mean? And that's essentially sticking to the outside where all of the whole foods are going to be. And the center aisles, that's really where all of the processed foods, snack foods, and, you know, some processed foods, you know, you might want to go in there for some nut butters, or, you know, if you drink coffee, that's where you're going to find coffee. But for the most part, 80% of the time, you should be shopping the perimeter. Possible roadblocks. So remember, when we're talking about competency, consistency. So a competency issue could be reading labels. You don't have the confidence to really read a label and know what you know, if it is a good food, whether it's going to be nutritious, how to really look at that. Cooking skills, if you don't feel comfortable in the kitchen, probably not going to be preparing a lot of meals. And access. So unfortunately, there are food deserts, and, you know, there are ways around that, but access can be a limiting factor for a lot of people. Another strategy would be, and this is very self-explanatory, but kitchen overhaul. So you grab a garbage bag, you fill it with all the processed foods, and then you throw it away. And the bottom line is, if it's in your house, it will get eaten by either you or someone you love. And going back to my trigger for snacking when I'm just relaxing, if it's not in my house, I'm not eating it. So this is one of the ways that I sort of limit snacking for myself. And is weight loss the goal? So I would say that weight loss is a good outcome, but it is not a good goal. It is not entirely under your circumstances. So there are things that you can do that certainly influence weight, but you don't control how fast weight comes off. Maybe you're going through a very stressful period at work, and that will be impacting water retention. If you're stressed, you might be actually eating more, snacking more. That will impact your weight and caloric intake. There are other metabolic factors, hormonal factors that will all impact fat loss. So quality food choices are going to impact cellular function. This is really what Serena was talking about, and kind of going back to improving the quality of our diet and just being consistent with good habits will naturally lead to the goal of weight loss. So better measurements that I recommend, this would be looking at the waist to hip ratio, better than just stepping on a scale. You will see your waist, you know, going down, maybe while your weight is fluctuating due to water weight or what have you. Body fat percentage, this is a much more accurate way to measure fat and the fat mass of your body. The skinny jeans test, this is really where, you know, everybody has like a pair of jeans they used to wear 5 to 10 years ago, might not fit the same. But if you have been really consistent with changing your diet, implementing some movement, and you put on that pair of jeans and they fit better, congratulations, you lost weight. And I would imagine doesn't really have anything to do with the scale. Energy levels, if you focus on how you're feeling, that would be another more tangible and something that you're able to get a sense of, as opposed to, just as we were talking about, weight, which can fluctuate up and down. So a lot better measurements to look and track if weight loss is a goal that is a priority for you. So goal setting. So what are we actually going to do? I would recommend a behavior goal over an outcome goal. So an outcome goal, this is what you want to achieve at the end. Behavior, this is going to be actions that you're going to be taking that move you towards that outcome. So just as we were talking about with weight loss, outcome goal is I want to lose 10 pounds. Very vague, doesn't tell you how to get there. But if you have a behavior goal of I will include 2 servings of vegetables each meal, that is actionable, it's tangible. It's a yes or no question. Did you eat the vegetables? Yes, no. And if you are consistent in that behavior, will that influence and lead towards the eventual goal of weight loss or the 10 pounds? Yes. So creating a goal, this is a template to how to think about goal setting. So specific, I recommend only choosing one at a time. The more goals that you have, the less focus and attention you can spend on each one. So definitely recommend choosing one. So if that is eat 1 serving of vegetables at each meal, is that measurable? Yes. Is it achievable? Hopefully, it is in a 9 to 10 for difficulty. So 1, a lot harder. 10, very easy. It should be a 9 or a 10. It should be very easy. So if 1 serving of vegetables is not realistic for you, maybe it is a half a serving. Maybe it's 1 apple. Maybe it's at 1 meal, you will try 1 vegetable 1 day. So you're not even eating a full serving. But that's just how to make it easier if that is not realistic and reasonable for you. And then time-based, I would recommend focusing on a goal for about 2 to 3 weeks before moving on to the next one. And this is how I sort of go about this, working with people in a 12-week program. So if you ever, want help implementing something like this is what I do, and this is how it could look like for you. And here's some contact info, and thank you very much.
All right. So Steve, thank you so much for that. And we're going to play a quick video. Before I even do that, I'm going to put a link in the chat window for us. And before we have our summary and time for Dr. Rick to give us some additional guidance on the question and answer time. But the link that I'm putting in the chat right now is a way that you can stay connected with us. That link is there, and I'm going to show you exactly what happens. I'm going to share my screen again. And there we go. All right, and so this is the link that I just put in the chat window that I have highlighted, and you see the information that's on the screen right now. This is, in fact, what you get when you click that link. So you have our Facebook group where we have our recording. If you came in through an invitation on WhatsApp, you can also see additional information at our Natural Health Meetup site where we have descriptions of our upcoming events as well as the past ones. And then if somebody's looking for prayer, because we actually here look at the book of Genesis in the Bible as the guide for what we eat. It is, in fact, so even science, even the researchers are now coming to understand how whole, unprocessed plant foods are indeed so superior to any other option. And so sometimes there's a challenge. Sometimes there is a difficulty, as Steve was talking about it, making habits. And many times prayer can very much be the answer to changing a habit. And so we want to be sure that you have access to that if you so desire. And so this link will actually do that. And I'm actually going to click on the link here so that you'll have an opportunity to see how that works. And so this actually is the page that you would get with the additional links here to get to our Facebook group. If you'd like to join that, join the Health Meetup group website, or request prayer, or even to get any information from us for any coaching opportunities. So I'm going to now go and share our video so that you can see our interim. And right after that, Dr. Rick Howard will come forward to get the discussion going. And I'll be sure to have you unmute as well.
We're thrilled that you're attending this edition of Your Natural Health Meetup. In between our monthly sessions, you can stay connected with us in as many as 3 easy ways. Our Facebook group has our live as well as archived videos along with other natural health updates and a place to post your questions. Our Natural Health Learn and Share Meetup site has announcements, reminders, and messages for you, and also our confidential requests for prayer page. We love to pray for you and any concerns of life that you may have. Use the link on the screen to stay connected for any one of these or all 3.
Okay, Dr. Rick.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I guess if you hear an echo in the room, it's not your computer. It's me saying again all the good things that were shared earlier. And basically, we just want to give you a chance to process all the things that were said. And I'm just going to review some of the main points that were offered so that questions can be asked. We get reminded of the things that we may have heard, but then we're thinking about, and then that'll help us with our discussion period. So basically, Serena started us off by talking about food as tools. And as was said, we don't often think of food as a tool, but that's exactly what it is. If you think about the fact that tools help you accomplish something else, the focus is, I hope you don't sit and look at your hammer all day. I hope you don't look at your drill all day, right? But for some reason, we have a habit of concentrating on our foods, and I guess because they're more delicious than hammers and drills, right? But they are tools that facilitate actions other than the food itself. So first reminder, foods are tools. So if you were building a cabinet or something, the first thing you would want to do is learn what tools you need and then how to use that tool. So Serena gave us 3 things. She gave us as examples: radishes, onions, and red clover. Okay, you could call them herbs, you could call them foods. They kind of fall in the same category. But the main things about it is, again, the food, though it's what we're using, it shouldn't just be the focus. In other words, you want to know, why am I using the onion? Or why am I using radish? Or in what application am I going to do it? Now, you can hammer in a screw with using a hammer, but it works better with a drill. So in order to make that tool work, pick the right tool, pick the right situation. Where is your body? Your body may not accept that tool as well as somebody else's, and you have to pick a different tool. So first one, learn how to use the tool. Second one, learn the right application. Third one, beware how you prepare the foods. And I talk to people about using onions and garlic, and they say, oh, well, I cook with those all the time. Most of the time, if you put those things under high heat, you destroy the very properties that you're trying to get, and they just become maybe flavors, okay? So preparation is super important to how we use the tool. We highlighted that, and I think Michael did too, processed foods are not helpful. Why? Just because of what we just said. The processing actually breaks down the very nutrients that we're trying to get, and so we're unable to access it. You can eat all sorts of healthy foods, but if your body environment and how you prepare it is not allowing you to absorb that food, the food becomes worthless. Okay? So in review, you learn how to use the tool, choose the right application, beware how you prepare the food. We want the proper environment internally as well as externally. And then one thought that I like that Serena brought up, she said, and we need to ask ourselves this question: what is your relationship with food? In other words, do I eat because I just love to eat? Do I eat because I know I have to live? Do I eat because I enjoy potato chips smothered in ketchup? I don't know. What is your relationship to food? I think that is something that needs to be answered. And then food has a outlined purpose. 1 Corinthians 10:31, she gave us, food should honor God's purpose in your life. That is critical. And that's more than a religious statement, because if you don't have a healthy relationship with food and understand the purpose that you have for the food, then the food will drive you into areas that you might not like. Finally, with her presentation, she highlighted choosing wisely. And that is so critical. We must choose wisely if we're going to build a healthy life. Michael's was about that very habit, that thing of building healthy habits. You can eat all the food, you can learn about foods, you can have good information, but it's the doing of the thing that is part of it, but is learning and choosing that is part of that doing. Okay. I can say, I need to go to a wedding. I need to fit my suit. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to do whatever. That he talked about as an outcome, right? You're setting a goal, but that is not the type of thing that is going to help you with long-term success. And so he talked about goal setting outcomes rather and other pitting that against, I guess, reachable goals. So number one, he talked about the habits of life. It's you're using the food in a setting that will allow you to be successful with that food. Number one, number two, he said, food is information. And that is I wish we had time to talk about that more, because the information in foods can react positively or negatively in your food. Food can actually alter genetic switching within your body. So if you don't know about the foods, hey, you should learn about the foods. When we don't smoke, when we exercise, when we aren't stressed, we're just giving our body a setting for how we will receive the food. But once the food is inside our body, that climate dictates how we accept the food. Okay. So he gave us some choices, and he pitted roadblocks against current winds. Okay. So number one was food selection, which everybody loves because they love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or they love crackers, or they love watermelon or fruit. That's food selection. But food quality is something that is more tangent to your health. You might like peanut butter and jelly and crackers and watermelon on top, but is that the best food quality for you? Okay. So we want processed foods over just what we call tasty foods. And even if it's plant-based, there can be bad plant-based foods.
Yes.
Okay, so then he also talked about replacement versus improvement. In other words, you identify what your current habits are, and that may be my word. You replace that with a new routine. In other words, you don't just by force of will get rid of a habit. You displace the habit. So if I'm used to going to the store, a certain store at a certain time, and eating certain foods, I displace that habit by changing the routine. Okay. So replacement versus improvement. Pattern recognition is so important when it comes to displacing something that we want to get rid of in our habit. Because if you don't look at your life, if you don't look at the things that drive you, so to speak, you're going to have problems. So he talked about the grocery store, and I call it the landscape. You have to learn the landscape of where and how you get your food. What are the pitfalls in the grocery store? I shop by habit. I don't read labels. What can I do about that? Study how to read the labels and what they mean. Oh, I don't cook. I have no cooking skills. Okay, experiment. Learn how to cook. Challenge yourself to learn how to cook one new thing a month, or even if it's how to properly boil the water for the rice. Okay. You can teach yourself new habits, but it takes challenge. Okay. And then he talked about access to food. And that is where choosing happens. Okay. And I heard a story which will illustrate this. There was a young man who had to get to work, but he didn't have a car, and his job was like 7 or 8 miles away. He got up around midnight to walk to work so that he would be on time. And his boss and some other people noticed. They wound up buying this guy a car. Why? Because he saw what he wanted. He made a plan. He completed the objective, and then he got the outcome as well. So you have to choose to do those things, and that is a process. So finally, coming up, summing up what Michael did.
That's Steve, right? That was Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm saying Michael. I should have said Steve. I'm sorry, Steve. He talked about outcomes in goal setting versus reachable goals, I called it. And outcomes to me involve self-inventory, where Steve talked about you look at where you are and be realistic about that. You are not going to all of a sudden change your diet, get rid of every bad thing, and be on track next week. It's probably not going to happen. So you need some self-recognition about reachable goals. Okay. So you do a self-inventory, and then you do self-recognition of what's actually what can I do now? And then so I made a list from what he said, what Steve said. Outcomes are short term, right? Behavior goals are more actionable. It's what I can do now to inch me towards success. Outcomes are not always able to be done. Whereas the behavioral goals are tangible. Okay. He used the example of eat one vegetable each meal, or one vegetable at one meal, or one vegetable at one of my meals during the day. It's a tangible thing that you can do. I'm going to eat half an apple with my lunch. That's a tangible goal, and it's doable. And then finally, outcomes focus on the look of things. Behavioral goals allow you to master facets of your life that you're present with, that is here and now. So those were my notes that I took. What do we think? Are there any questions that we have for Steve and Serena or myself or Michael that we can help you get to on some of your questions? And as I might say, we have our mixer later on where you can talk to us about things that may not have may not have to do with anything that I took notes on. So feel free. Okay. Terry, I think you had a question.
Hi, I am Terry. I am sitting in Chicago, and I recently went to the doctor and had my lab panel done. I'm age 70, and I actually sort of almost fit into your 3% group, Stephen, where I literally exercise at least 4 times a week, and walk 4 miles twice a week, and hike, and anyway, and I don't smoke, and I maintain a healthy weight. So I'm a little low on maybe the exercising part right now, but when I'm out in California, I'm really exercising. So anyway, I was shocked that my cholesterol was a little up, because I'm really, really good with choosing the low fat, gluten-free, organic, what's the word for me? I'm no carbs, and very little dairy. And the dairy I do choose is goat cheese and yogurt, and the fruits that I choose are berries. And so, I've got all the antioxidants in there. I've got my citrus in there. I'm choosing the right foods. I have the knowledge. So now what do? I'm doing everything right, and my cholesterol's still high, and I do not want to start on a statin drug. I do not. I'm a nurse, and I know the side effects. I know the pitfalls of that. I don't want to get stuck on something like that the rest of my life. What would you do if you were me? Big, tall question, tall order. Huge, tall question. Don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but
no, Steve, do you want to deal with that or approach that, or do you want me to chime in either way?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just some questions that, if if we were working together that I would want to ask and just get a sense of would be sleep and stress. Those are two big areas that could be playing a role in why cholesterol seems to be elevated despite good dietary practices. And maybe I do remember, or I heard you right when you said you were a nurse. And are you doing any overnight shifts that could disrupt your circadian rhythm?
No, and my stress is low because I'm retired.
Oh, okay.
But I will tell you,
Mm.
I don't sleep all that well. I sleep 6 hours and I pop up at 3 in the morning. If I go to bed too early, I'm awake and running around doing things in the house. 3 and 4 and 5 in the morning. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that happens. Yeah. I don't need much sleep. I'm older now.
So can I suggest something to what Steve was saying about the stress levels? You know, one concept that we discuss here in our meetings is that health is three-dimensional. In other words, we focus so much on food that we forget that we have to live life, and that food just fits into our lives. The food is not our life. So food does not drive most of cholesterol levels. That your cholesterol is made mostly, and the levels they are reading on those tests are mostly made by your liver. The dietary portion of what you receive from food is smallish compared
Okay.
to what your body makes
I see what you mean.
for your brain, for your
Mhm.
hormones, for your nerve coatings.
Yes.
Your body needs fat. If you were to take the physical weight, the physical dry component of your brain, 85% of your brain is fatty materials. So you don't want to get rid of cholesterol. You want to understand why the cholesterol levels rise. One possible reason that I see all the time is infection. And we don't think about it in the context of that. We always think about, blood sugar rise, all of these things in terms of foods, where infection is one of the largest reasons why people's blood sugar rise, why people's cholesterol, triglyceride levels rise, is due to infection. And that's just one scenario. So my large picture to you, as being said, is look at the context of what causes that stress, and your body is trying to alarm, so to speak, to tell you, hey, this is why. Now you gave us a clue. You said, well, I go to sleep and then I wake up. That
Yep.
tells me that the gut flora is not balanced. Where your body makes, let's say, serotonin,
Mhm.
okay, which that is the precursor to melatonin. The serotonin, 90% of that is made in the gut, goes to the brain, and then magnesium, certain type of magnesium, helps it cross the brain barrier, and then it's converted to melatonin. If the gut flora is not right, you won't produce the serotonin and you will wake up. If the gut flora is not right, your body will signal an alarm that says things are out of balance, something's wrong,
Wrong.
and then your adrenal glands signaling that, hey, there's an emergency in Terry's body, it wakes you up. You see, if there was a fire in your apartment, you would wake up. Your adrenal gland says emergency. So all these things that you're seeing with the cholesterol test, don't build it around food, build it around your life. And I think I've said enough about that.
Okay. You've given me food for thought. Yeah. Yeah, because I think there's something called LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and total cholesterol. That's really what you're looking at.
Mhm.
And
Right.
mine are 30 points up on the
Yeah,
LDL.
that's more a cause to me.
Yeah.
I look at, I suspect maybe infection or whatever, but that's a whole
It's
nother.
probably my gums. You know, COVID was
Yeah.
not the greatest thing for me. I didn't go to the
Yeah.
dentist for a couple of years, and I think that's
Yeah.
part of the problem.
Okay.
That's
Any
a
other
very
questions
Yeah,
or
Ally has her hand up. Ally is, can you hear us, Ally?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful and delicious conversation. Thank you so much. I just found you all today, actually, and I'm so very glad and grateful to be on the call this evening. Thank you so much.
Glad to have you too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the acknowledgement. I so value and am grateful for the presenters that poured your spirits and your passions into the information that you shared. It was chock full of beautiful content. And Dr. I did not get your name. It says Genesis Health LLC. What is your name again, please? Dr. Michael?
Rick Howard. Yes.
Dr.
Howard.
Rick. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful synopsis of the share. I'm thinking, wow, you took such great notes. Yeah, my question is this, and thank you, Terry, for your question. And I learned and was reminded of a number of things as well. I wanted to ask a question, and I'm putting it out there. I believe that if the question is in me, it's in the room. And for those beautiful ladies who are aging well, or whatever you deem it on the continuum, there's this issue that each of us are very familiar with, intimately so, hormonal levels and hormonal fluctuations and what that does to our bodies, mind, body, soul, spirit. But somatically speaking, in this instance, I'm a former athlete. I'm very active and my numbers are always really good. However, what I am noticing is that I'm not exercising as much as I have been. I have an orthopedic injury I sustained to my foot. I'm also a hiker, dancer, former, a lot of things. And so what I'm noticing, and I'm not someone who's partial to being in the gym a lot. I do a lot of calisthenics and sprints when I'm walking, and high skips and jumping and that kind of thing. So what I'm noticing, though, since I've had this injury and I haven't been exercising or getting my exercising in as I had been, I was doing at least 10,000 steps a day. And I was also pretty competitive, #1 on the leaderboard within a women's group. And there were like hundreds of women. And I was really motivated to stay active and make sure that my levels are really where I was comfortable. I'm still noticing, though, that my tummy's getting soft. And I'm like, where did you come from? And so the thing is, I'm accustomed to having, if not a 6-pack, a 3-pack. And I'm in my mid-50s. So I'm like, what's happening? And I know what's happening. I know it's hormonal levels, and I know about the perimenopausal and menopausal weight gain in the belly fat and stuff like that. Is there a way to mitigate that through nutrition and maybe augmenting my dietary intake to stave off that type of thing? I'm wanting to believe that I don't have to be part of that percentile where it's just a part of aging. What can you do? I don't believe that. So I'm just wondering, what can I do? What can women do in particular who are noticing our bodies getting softer and tone about? I'll read that in a second. Thanks, Terry. Yeah, when I want to get that chiseled waistline again. It's not bad. It's just not as chiseled as it normally is.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You finished. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you there.
Yeah, no worries. I was just saying,
Yeah.
maybe it's inevitable, but I tend to believe that it doesn't have to be.
Well, let me give you a suggestion. That's
Mhm.
going to sound so strange to you that it might just throw you off the horse, right? Okay. But there's a concept here
Mhm,
that is we call the three dimensions of life. Okay.
mhm. Yes.
So you have physical, you have
Mhm.
mental, and you have moral. So
Mhm.
what I hear when I hear what you're saying
Mhm.
is a question of balance. You
Balance.
have to remember
Mhm.
that it's almost like you're sitting in your car, you turn the car on, and you rev the engine, but you never put it into drive. What's going to happen? The engine will rev and you will
Mhm.
go nowhere.
Mhm.
You see, the whole point of getting in your car and driving, and starting the engine is to drive and go somewhere. So
Correct.
if you are constantly working one part of your life, but not building your thought life, not giving your body a chance to
Yeah.
decompress, because yes, we look at the mitochondria building energy and preparing the ATP and all this stuff in our bodies, but our brains are where the directives come to move, to do these things. And also, when you sleep at night between approximately 9 and 2 a.m., that's when your body decompresses,
Mhm.
heals, produces um,
Melatonin.
specific,
Mhm.
well, not the melatonin. I'm talking about the human growth factor, which
Okay.
repairs and
Right.
helps calm down your
Mhm.
body and puts it in a mode where there can be balance. I
True.
mean, there are no foods that
Mhm.
will override lack of sleep,
Mhm.
high stress,
Mhm.
lack of intellectual engagement. And what I mean by that is,
So true.
um, how much time do you take to be on vacation? How much time do you take to go to the park and just sit and not feel like you have to be competing? How much time do you let your brain actually rest
Mhm.
instead of revving it up to do something else? You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
That is a real force in your body and it's
Mhm.
a real force in your life. And that engagement from your brain, you got to remember through the vagus nerve, those
Mhm.
emotions, those remembrances, those tones, they
Mhm.
go right to the vagus nerve and affect
Mhm.
every muscle, every nerve in your body.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you
That's yeah.
strive for balance
Yeah.
of these things, how much time are you spending in quiet meditation, listen to music? Do you take 20 minutes, 30 minutes once a week and just sit and you don't have an agenda for competition or running or getting your six pack back? Let that go for a moment and
Mhm.
just listen to bird sounds,
Mhm. Mhm.
water.
Mhm.
You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
I do. Yeah.
I hear a question about, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So if anybody else have
Yeah,
questions.
I'll just add,
Thank
top of Dr. Rick is
you. Mhm.
shared with us. I did some research recently, and it's published in a medical journal on PubMed.gov,
Mhm.
and it just talked about the 50-year-old plus and the need for complete amino acid profile.
Mhm.
Yeah, in terms of muscle mass.
Mhm.
And many times, especially if we're not eating a wide variety of protein rich or amino acid rich plant foods,
Mhm.
lentils was on the list recommended, and there are a few others that were particularly high in leucine.
Mhm.
And leucine gets converted to HMB in the body.
Mhm.
And then when we do even minimal exercise, it potentiates the muscle mass growth. And so, but amino acid balance
Mhm.
and just being sure that the foods that you're eating,
Mhm.
and plant foods primarily give us the easier route to getting amino acids, even more so than flesh foods.
Right.
And it's just fantastic that research is there as a
Mhm.
consideration as well.
Right. Thank you so much. And I used to really be more dialed in. So let me just first quickly address Dr. Rick. You're absolutely correct. I do invest myself in things that allow me to get into a parasympathetic state. So I'm a huge fan of the polyvagal nerve theory, and the rest and digest is really important. And so I make sure that I allow myself to bask in nature and that kind of thing. However, balance is something that I've been more focused on here lately. My dad is now deceased, and an aging mom who's experiencing neurodegenerative conditions, and we're still trying to figure that out. It's very stressful. So I'm seeing firsthand the how stress exacerbates anything else that's going on, especially if it's stress that's external to us. And I feel like I'm trying my best to get on top of it. However, it's beyond my control, my direct control, especially when someone is in denial and they're like, that's not happening, and no one else sees it happening but me. And everyone's like, leave your mom alone, she's fine. And I'm like, you don't understand. These things are happening, but they're not apparent. It's very stressful. So a lot of things are shifting. And thank you so much. And I appreciate your input as well, Michael.
Sure.
Yeah, really important. The EFAs and the omega-3s and that kind of thing. And I was more plant-based than I am now. And I'm going to start looking at that. In terms of doing a metabolic profile, like who would that person be? A holistic nutritionist to assist us in looking at our levels? Because I know allopathic medicine has its place. So too does more functional and holistic and, naturopathic influences. I guess integrated medicine would be helpful, but I'm just wondering, who would that person be?
Well, I only I don't know of very many allopathic practices where you can get really good functional tests
Marker.
like that.
That's why
I use a service from Vibrant America that is open to naturopaths. So you'd have to go through some practitioner or something. Could be somebody like Steve or myself or whatever. But that is they do have functional tests that are pretty broad reaching. I have to stick my finger in the mud again just one time and hold it up, right? It doesn't matter what you put in your gut. Your brain can always override it. So if you're mad, if you're stressed out about your mom, you're not going to absorb things, especially complex foods.
Right.
You're so that is something not to, and I'm not saying you are putting it on the sideline. It is something that is so super important that that idea of balance, but gaining a better knowledge, like Michael was talking about lentils.
Yeah.
The reason why things like that are easy to help us is because you mix them with complementary foods. And maybe next month we'll talk about that. But
Yes.
you know, the beans and the rice give you 4 times as much a complete protein as, let's say, a piece of steak. So there's so much complexity in this whole picture of food, and yet at the same time, the other parts of our lives deserve the same study. Yeah.
Great.
Well, folks, we are at the end of our workshop today. In fact, we've gone a little bit over time, but we want to thank everyone. We thank for the great questions. We want to thank Dr. Rick for fielding these. Steve had to bow out for another engagement. Want to thank Serena for getting us started on the tools that we have available and looking at food as tools. That's really amazing. Next month in September, it's going to be the 10th of September. We're going to be looking at something with meal planning. I think Dr. Rick let it out of the bag just now. But meal planning and how to go about that and some of the ways that this can really help us. And so we'll have an opportunity to share from our expertise and from our love, a couple of items as well that we prepare in our homes and use to improve our health as well. So we're going to bow out with a closing prayer right now, but if you'd like to stay to chat for a few minutes, Dr. Rick mentioned the mixer. We don't need cameras. We're going to stop our recording and we'll do that. So if you don't mind bowing your heads for a quick word of prayer. Dear God, thank you for tonight. Thank you for the wonderful audience and for the questions and for the presenters that you put together. And we're thankful, God, that you have provided for us tools. May we dig in and learn which tools to use and how to use them appropriately so that our lives can be one of balance, one of energy, one of improved health, and allow us, Lord, to praise you, give you the glory for all that we are able to do in that regard. As we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank